Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a topic that is literally the absolute foundation of clinical hypnotherapy: ethics and professional conduct. Now, if you're thinking this might just be a dry list of rules you have to memorize, I totally get it. But as we explore this together, I think you'll see how these principles actually create a dynamic, everyday framework that empowers your clinical practice and makes some truly profound healing possible. So let's jump right in.
Picture this for a second. A highly vulnerable client walks into your therapy room. They sit down across from you, and they're really struggling, maybe with intense anxiety, deep-seated trauma, profound grief, or a habit they just desperately want to change. Very often, this person has exhausted absolutely every other option before finally deciding to seek help from you. They might even be sharing things they have never spoken aloud to anyone else in their entire life. Think about how massive that is. Ethics exist entirely to honor that immense trust they place in you during their most vulnerable moments. Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The weight of trust. 2. Ethics versus the law. 3. The 5 core ethical principles. 4. Everyday professional conduct. And 5. Navigating ethical dilemmas.
Starting right off with Section 1, the weight of trust. Let's look at this unique responsibility. As we just visualized, clients are coming to you at critical, often fragile junctures in their lives. Because they're often at the end of their rope, you have a deeply unique responsibility to provide care that's consistently safe and perfectly tailored to their needs. You know, the word ethics actually comes from the Greek root ethos, meaning character or moral nature. But here's the thing, while your personal morals come from your upbringing or culture, professional ethics provide a shared standard that applies to everyone in the field. This shared framework is absolutely vital. It ensures consistent care, and more importantly, it prevents the abuse of the inherent power imbalance in the room. Because, let's be real, clients seek you out because of your expertise. They follow your lead. Ethical practice ensures you use that position of power responsibly and never, ever for personal gain.
Moving on to Section 2, ethics versus the law. This is a super crucial distinction.
It is a massive misconception to assume ethics and the law are exactly the same thing. They're definitely not. Think of the law as the floor. It's just the bare minimum legal requirements you have to follow to avoid, disciplinary proceedings or criminal charges. Ethics, on the other hand, ask way more of you. A therapist can easily behave completely legally while still acting in ways that are totally insensitive or unprofessional. Essentially, the law keeps you out of a disciplinary hearing, but ethics keep your clients coming back and actually trusting you. Ethics require a higher standard focused on actively promoting client well-being. And sitting right between them, professional standards. Your professional associations establish codes of practice that act as the bridge between just avoiding legal trouble and actually aspiring to ethical excellence.
Let's put this into perspective with a real-world scenario. Imagine a client sends you a message on social media describing a really difficult emotional experience they're having right then and there. Now, the law might not specifically prohibit you from replying right there in the Instagram or Facebook comments. That's totally legal. But what about the ethics? An ethical response demands that you consider confidentiality, client privacy, and maintaining clear clinical boundaries. An ethical practitioner is going to gently redirect that communication over to appropriate clinical channels to protect the client, even if chatting on social media is technically perfectly legal.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 5 core ethical principles. These are your guiding pillars.
These 5 principles, beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, justice, and fidelity, guide clinical decision-making across almost all healthcare professions. And please don't just view these as abstract rules to memorize for a test. Think of them as the structural pillars for thoughtful, everyday practice. They're the lenses you should be looking through for literally every single clinical decision you make.
Let's zero in on the first one, beneficence. This basically means actively working to benefit the client. As a practitioner, you should constantly be asking yourself, is this decision in my client's best interests? Every intervention has to aim to help them reach their therapeutic goals. And here is the real kicker. Sometimes putting the client's needs first means recognizing that another practitioner might actually be better suited to help them. So beneficence can sometimes look like referring your client elsewhere. Let's break down the remaining 4. First, non-maleficence, which is the duty to do no harm. And avoiding harm isn't just passive. It requires active planning, working strictly within your competence, and monitoring your clients carefully. Next is autonomy, which is empowering clients to make informed decisions about their own care. Your role is to guide them, not control them. Then we have justice, which demands absolute fairness and equality. It means providing respectful care regardless of age, gender, culture, or background.
And finally, fidelity. This relies on unwavering trustworthiness, keeping your promises, maintaining confidentiality, and just being reliable.
Okay, Section 4, Everyday Professional Conduct. Let's talk about putting these ethics into action.
We're moving from those high-minded ethical concepts down into the mundane day-to-day realities of running your practice. Things like arriving on time, remembering a client's name, respecting privacy, following through on your word, and maintaining proper records. These might seem ordinary, but they communicate massive reliability and integrity. Honestly, clients probably won't even notice your advanced hypnotic language patterns, but they will absolutely notice if you forget their name or arrive 10 minutes late. Professional conduct often strengthens that therapeutic relationship way before the formal therapy even begins. Trust is built slowly through these consistent, small behaviors, and it can be lost in an absolute flash through simple carelessness.
And finally, Section 5, Navigating Ethical Dilemmas. This is how we work through the gray areas.
As your experience grows, you're inevitably going to hit these gray areas where there is no obvious right or wrong answer, and sometimes two ethical principles directly conflict with each other. For example, you might have a teenage client ask you to keep a dangerous secret, forcing you to weigh their autonomy against your duty of non-maleficence to protect them from harm. Or, let's look at another specific case study. Imagine Sarah, a newly qualified hypnotherapist. A long-term client invites her to attend their birthday celebration. Sarah genuinely likes the client and thinks, hey, going would build great rapport. So, should she accept? At first glance, it seems totally harmless, right? But accepting social invitations can severely blur critical professional boundaries and alter the entire therapeutic relationship. A professional would politely decline to preserve those boundaries, which ultimately protects both the therapist and the client in the long run.
So, when you face dilemmas like Sarah's, it really helps to rely on a structured decision-making process. First, identify the exact ethical issue and who is affected. Second, note your professional responsibilities. Third, evaluate your available options. Fourth, ask which option best protects the client's well-being. Fifth, supervision. Let me emphasize that. Asking a trusted colleague for guidance is a massive sign of professionalism, not weakness. And sixth, always document your decision. Using this framework totally saves you from relying on knee-jerk automatic responses.
To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this incredible, provocative question from our source material. Whenever uncertainty arises in your practice, and it will, return to this central thought. What action best protects the well-being of my client while maintaining the integrity of my profession? If you can answer that honestly every time, you are well on your way to a highly ethical, deeply impactful career. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this vital foundation of clinical hypnotherapy. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.